To Alison Cunningham from Her Boy by Robert Louis Stevenson. For the long nights you lay awake and watched for my unworthy sake, for your most comfortable hand that led me through the uneven land, for all the storybooks you read, for all the pains you comforted, for all you pitied, all you bore in sad and happy days of yore, my second mother, my first wife, the angel of my infant life. From the sick child, noble and old, take, nurse, the little book you hold. And granted, heaven, that all who read may find as dear a nurse at need, and every child who lists my rhyme in the bright fireside nursery clime may hear in it as kind a voice as make my childish days rejoice. Bed in Summer by Robert Louis Stevenson. In winter I get up at night and dress by yellow candlelight. In summer, quite the other way, I have to go to bed by day. I have to go to bed and see the birds still hopping on the tree, or hear the grown-up people's feet still going past me in the street. And does it not seem hard to you when all the sky is clear and blue, and I should like so much to play to have to go to bed by day? A Thought by Robert Louis Stevenson. It is very nice to think the world is full of meat and drink, with the little children saying grace in every Christian kind of place. At the Seaside by Robert Louis Stevenson. When I was down beside the sea, a wooden spade they gave to me to dig the sandy shore. My holes were empty like a cup, and every hole the sea came up, till it could come no more. Young Night Thought by Robert Louis Stevenson. All night long and every night, when my mamma puts out the light, I see the people marching by as plain as day before my eye. Armies and emperors and kings all carrying different kinds of things, and marching in so grand a way you never saw the like by day. So fine a show was never seen at the great circus on the green, for every kind of beast and man is marching in that caravan. At first they move a little slow, but still the faster on they go, and still beside them close they keep until they reach the town of sleep. Whole Duty of Children by Robert Louis Stevenson. A child should always say what's true and speak when he is spoken to, and behave mannerly at table, at least as far as he is able. Rain by Robert Louis Stevenson. The rain is raining all around, it falls on field and tree, it rains on the umbrellas here and on the ships at sea. Pirate Story by Robert Louis Stevenson. 3 of us afloat in the meadow by the swing, 3 of us abroad in the basket on the lee. Winds are in the air, they are blowing in the spring, and waves are on the meadow like the waves there are at sea. Where shall we adventure, today that we are afloat, wary of the weather and steering by a star? Shall it be to Africa, steering off the boat to Providence or Babylon, or off to Malabar? Hi, but there's a squadron rowing on the sea, cattle on the meadow at Charing with a roar. Quick, and we'll escape them. We're as mad as we can be. The wicket is the harbour and the garden is the shore. Foreign Lands by Robert Louis Stevenson. Up into the cherry tree, who should climb but little me? I held the trunk with both my hands and looked abroad on the foreign lands. I saw the next door garden lie, adorned with flowers before my eye, and many pleasant places more that I had never seen before. I saw the dimpling river pass, and be the sky's blue looking-glass, the dusty roads go up and down with people tramping in to town. If I could find a higher tree, farther and farther I should see, to where the grown-up river slips into the sea among the ships, to where the roads on either hand lead onward into fairyland, where all the children dine at 5 and all the playthings come alive. Windy Nights by Robert Louis Stevenson. Whenever the moon and stars are set, whenever the wind is high, all night long in the dark and wet, a man goes riding by. Late in the night when the fires are out, why does he gallop and gallop about? Whenever the trees are crying aloud and ships are tossed at sea, by on the highway, low and loud, by the gallop goes he. By the gallop he goes, and then by he comes back at the gallop again. Travel by Robert Louis Stevenson. I should like to rise and go where the golden apples grow, where below another sky parent islands anchored lie, and watched by cockatoos and goats, lonely cruisers building boats, where in sunshine reaching out eastern cities, miles about, are with mosque and minaret among sandy gardens set, and where rich goods from near and far hang for sale in the bazaar, where the great wall round China goes, and on one side the desert blows, and with bell and voice and drum cities on the other hum, where are forests hot as fire, wide as England, tall as a spire, full of apes and coconuts, and the hunters' huts, where the knotty crocodile lies and blinks in the Nile, and the red flamingo flies hunting fish before his eyes. Where in jungles near and far, man-devouring tigers are, lying close and giving ear, lest the hunt be drawing near. Or a camel be seen, swinging in a palanquin, where among the desert sands some deserted city stands, all its children, sweep and prince, grown to manhood, age since. Not a foot in street or house, not a stir of child or mouse, and when kindly falls the night, and all the town no spark of light, where will come when I'm a man with a camel caravan? Light a fire in the gloom of some dusty dining room, see the pictures on the walls, heroes, fights and festivals, and in the corner find the toys of the old Egyptian boys. Singing by Robert Louis Stevenson. Of speckled eggs the birdie sings and nests among the trees. The sailor sings of ropes and things and ships upon the seas. The children sing in far Japan, the children sing in Spain. The organ with the organ man is singing in the rain. Looking Forward by Robert Louis Stevenson. When I am grown to man's estate, I shall be very proud and great, and tell the other girls and boys not to meddle with my toys. A Good Play by Robert Louis Stevenson. We built a ship upon the stairs, all made of her back bedroom chairs, and filled it full of sofa pillows to go a-sailing on the billows. We took a saw and several nails, and water in the nursery pails, and Tom said, "Let us also take an apple and a slice of cake," which was enough for Tom and me to go sailing on till tea. We sailed along for days and days, and had the very best of place, but Tom fell out and hurt his knee, so there was no one left but me. Where Go the Boats by Robert Louis Stevenson. Dark brown is the river, golden is the sand, and it flows along forever, with trees on either hand. Green leaves are floating, castles of a foam, boats of mine a-boating. Where will all come home? On goes the river and out past the mill, away down the valley, away down the hill, away down the river 100 miles or more. Other little children shall bring my boats ashore. Auntie's Skirts by Robert Louis Stevenson. Whenever Auntie moves around, her dresses make a curious sound. I trail behind her up the floor and trundle after her through the door. The Land of Counterpane by Robert Louis Stevenson. When I was sick and lay abed, I had 2 pillows at my head, and all my toys beside me lay to keep me happy all the day. And sometimes for an hour or so I watched my leaden soldiers go, with different uniforms and drills among the bedclothes through the hills, and sometimes sent my ships and fleets all up and down among the sheets, or brought my trees and houses out, and planted cities all about. I was the giant, great and still, that sits upon the Pillow Hill, and sees before him, dale and plain, the pleasant land of Counterpane. The Land of Nod by Robert Louis Stevenson. From breakfast on all through the day, at home among my friends I stay. But every night I go abroad, afar into the Land of Nod. All by myself I have to go, with none to tell me what to do. All alone beside the streams, and up the mountainsides of dreams. The strangest things are there for me, both things to eat and things to see, and many frightening sights abroad, till morning in the Land of Nod. Try as I like to find the way, I never can get it back by day, nor can remember plain and clear the curious music that I hear. The Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have a little shadow that goes in and out of me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow, not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes shoots up taller like an Indian rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there's none of him at all. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play, can only make a fool of me in every sort of way. He stays so close beside me, he's a coward, you can see. I'd think shame to stick to nursie as the shadow sticks to me. One morning, very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepyhead, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. System by Robert Louis Stevenson. Every night my prayers I say, and get my dinner every day. And every day that I've been good, I get an orange after food. The child that is not clean and neat, with lots of toys and things to eat, he is a naughty child, I'm sure, or else his dear papa's poor. A Good Boy by Robert Louis Stevenson. I woke before the morning. I was happy all the day. I never said an ugly word, but smiled and stuck to play. And now at last the sun is going down behind the wood, and I am very happy, for I know that I've been good. My bed is waiting cool and fresh, with linen smooth and fair, and I must off to sleep soon by, and not forget my prayer. I know that till tomorrow I should see the sun arise. No ugly dream shall fright my mind, no ugly sight my eyes. But slumber hold me tightly till I waken in the dawn, and hear the thrushes singing in the lilacs round the lawn. Escape at Bedtime by Robert Louis Stevenson. The lights from the parlour and kitchen shone out through the blinds and the windows and bars, and high overhead and all moving about were the thousands of millions of stars. There ne'er were such thousands of leaves on the tree, nor of people in church or the park, as the crowds of the stars that looked down upon me, and that glittered and twinkled in the dark. The dog and the plough and the hunter and all, and the star of a sailor and Mars, these shone in the sky, and the pail by the wall would be half full of water and stars. They saw me at last, and they chased me with cries, and they soon had me packed into bed. But the glory kept shining and bright in my eyes, and the stars going round in my head. Marching Song by Robert Louis Stevenson. Bring the common and play upon it, marching, here we come. Willie cocks his Highland bonny, Johnny beats the drum. Mary Jane commands the party, Peter leads the rear. Feet in time, alert and hearty, each a grenadier. All in the most martial manner, marching double quick, while the napkin like a banner waves upon the stick. Here's enough of fame and pillage, great Commander Jane. Now that we've been round the village, let's go home again. The Cow by Robert Louis Stevenson. The friendly cow, all red and white, I laugh with all my heart. She gives me cream with all her might to eat with apple tart. She wanders lowing here and there, and yet she cannot stray, all in the pleasant open air, the pleasant light of day. And blown by all the winds that pass, and wet with all the showers, she walks among the meadow grass and eats the meadow flowers. Happy Thought by Robert Louis Stevenson. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. The Wind by Robert Louis Stevenson. I saw you toss the kites on high, and blow the birds about the sky, and all around I heard you pass, like lady skirts across the grass. A wind a-blowing all day long, a wind that sings so loud a song. I saw the different things you did, but always you yourself you hid. I felt you push, I heard you call, I could not see yourself at all. A wind a-blowing all day long, a wind that sings so loud a song. O you that are so strong and cold, O blower, are you young or old? Are you a beast or field tree, or just a stronger child than me? O wind a-blowing all day long, a wind that sings so loud a song. Keepsake Mill by Robert Louis Stevenson. Out of the borders, I sinned without pardon, breaking the branches and crawling below. Out through the breach in the wall of the garden, down by the banks of a river we go. Here's the mill with a humming of thunder, here's the weir with a wonder of foam. Here's the sluice with the race running under marvellous places, oh handy to home. Sounds of the village grow stiller and stiller, stiller the note of the birds on the hill, dusty and dim are the eyes of the miller, deaf are his ears with the moil of the mill. Years may go by, and the wheel in the river, wheel as it wheels for us, children today, wheel and keep roaring and foaming forever, long after all of the boys are away. Home from the Indies and home from the ocean, heroes and soldiers, we all shall come home. Still we shall find the old mill wheel in motion, turning and churning that river to foam. You with the bean that I gave when we quarrelled, I with your marble of solid at last, honoured and old and all gaily apparelled, here we shall meet and remember the past. Good and Bad Children by Robert Louis Stevenson. Children, you are very little, and your bones are very brittle. If you would grow great and stately, you must try to walk sedately. You must still be bright and quiet and content with simple diet, and remain through all bewildering, innocent and honest children. Happy hearts and happy faces, happy play in grassy places. That was how in ancient ages children grew to kings and sages. But we unkind and we unruly, and we sought to eat unduly, we must never hope for glory. There's quite a different story. Cruel children, crying babies, all grew up as G's and Gabies, hated as their age increases by their nephews and their nieces. Foreign Children by Robert Louis Stevenson. Little Indian, Sioux or Crow, little frosty Eskimo, little Turk or Japanese, oh, don't you wish that you were me? You have seen the scarlet trees and the lions of the sea. You have eaten ostrich eggs and turned the turtles off their legs. Such a life is very fine, but it's not so nice as mine. You must often as you trot have vowed not to be abroad. You have curious things to eat. I am fed on proper meat. You must dwell beyond the foam, but I am safe and live at home. Little Indian, Sioux or Crow, little frosty Eskimo, little Turk or Japanese, oh, don't you wish that you were me? The Sun's Travels by Robert Louis Stevenson. The sun is not a bed, when I at night upon my pillow lie. Still round the earth his way he takes, and morning after morning makes. While here at home when shining day we round the sunny garden play, each little Indian sleepy head is being kissed and put to bed. And when at eve I rise from tea, day dawns beyond the Atlantic Sea, and all the children in the west are getting up and being dressed. The Lamplighter by Robert Louis Stevenson. My tea is nearly ready, and the sun has left the sky. It's time to take the window to see the Ree going by. For every night at tea time and before you take your seat, with lantern and with ladder he comes posting up the street. Now Tom would be a driver and Maria go to sea, and my papa's a banker and as rich as he can be. But when I'm stronger and can choose what I'm to do, oh Ree, I'll go round at night and light the lamps with you. For we are very lucky with a lamp before the door, and Ree stops to light it as he lights so many more. And now, before you hurry by with ladder and with light, oh Ree, see a little child and nod to him tonight. My Bed is a Boat by Robert Louis Stevenson. My bed is like a little boat, nurse helps me in when I embark. She girds me in my sailor's coat and starts me in the dark. At night I go on board and say good night to all my friends on shore. I shut my eyes and sail away and see and hear no more. And sometimes things to bed I take, as prudent sailors have to do. Perhaps a slice of wedding cake, perhaps a toy or two. At night across the dark we steer, but when the day returns at last, safe in my room beside the pier, I find my vessel fast. The Moon by Robert Louis Stevenson. The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on thieves on the garden wall, on streets and fields and harbour quays, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees. The squealing cat and the squeaking mouse, the howling dog by the door of a house, the bat that lies in bed at noon, all laugh to be out by the light of a moon. But all of the things that belong to the day cuddle to sleep to be out of her way, and flowers and children close their eyes, till up in the morning the sun shall rise. We Swing by Robert Louis Stevenson. How do you like to go up in a swing, up in the air so blue? Oh, I do think it the pleasantest thing ever a child can do. Up in the air and over the wall, till I can see so wide, rivers and trees and cattle and all over the countryside. Till I look down on the garden green, down on the roof so brown, up in the air I go flying again, up in the air and down. Time to Rise by Robert Louis Stevenson. A birdie with a yellow bill hopped upon the window sill, cocked his shining eye and said, "Ain't you ashamed, you sleepyhead?" Looking Glass River by Robert Louis Stevenson. Smooth it slides upon its travel, here a wimple, there a gleam, over clean gravel, over smooth stream. Sailing blossoms, silver fishes, paving pools as clear as air. How a child wishes to live down there. We can see our colored faces floating on the shaky pool, down in cool places, dim and very cool. Till a window, water wrinkle, dipping marten, plumping trout, spreads in a twinkle and blots all out. See the rings pursue each other. All below grows black as night, just as if mother had blown out the light. Patience, children, just a minute. See the spreading circles die, the stream and all in it will clear by and by. Fairy Bread by Robert Louis Stevenson. Come up here, our dusty feet, here is fairy bread to eat. Here in my retiring room, children, you may dine on the golden smell of broom and the shade of pine. And when you have eaten well, fairy stories hear and tell. From a Railway Carriage by Robert Louis Stevenson. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle, all through the meadows the horses and cattle. All of the sides of the hill and the plain fly as thick as driving rain, and ever again, in the wink of an eye, painted stations whistle by. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles all by himself and gathering brambles. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and there is the green for stringing the daisies. Here is a cart run away in the road, lumping along with man and load, and here is the mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever. Wintertime by Robert Louis Stevenson. Late lies the wintry sun abed, a frosty, fiery, sleepy head. Blinks but an hour or two, and then a blood-red orange sets again. Before the stars have left the skies, at morning in the dark I rise, and shivering in my nakedness by the cold candle, bath and dress. Close by the jolly fire I sit to warm my frozen bones a bit. Or with a reindeer sled explore the colder countries round the door. When to go out, my nurse doth wrap me in my comforter and cap. The cold wind burns my face and blows its frosty pepper up my nose. Black are my steps on silver sod, thick blows my frosty breath abroad. And tree and house and hill and lake are frosted like a wedding cake. The Hayloft by Robert Louis Stevenson. Through all the pleasant meadow side the grass grew shoulder high, till the shining skiffs went far and wide and cut it down to dry. These green and sweetly smelling crops they let in wagons how, and they piled them here in mountain tops for mountaineers to roam. Here is Mount Cleur, Mount Rusty Nail, Mount Eagle and Mount High. The mice that in these mountains dwell no happier are than I. Oh, what a joy to clamber there! Oh, what a place for play! With the sweet, the dim, the dusty air, the happy hills of hay. Farewell to the Farm by Robert Louis Stevenson. The coach is at the door at last. The eager children mounting fast and kissing hands in chorus sing, "Goodbye, goodbye to everything." To house and garden, field and lawn, the meadow gates we swing upon, the pump and stable, tree and swing, goodbye, goodbye to everything. And fare you well for evermore, or ladder at the hayloft door, or hayloft where the cobwebs cling, goodbye, goodbye to everything. Crack goes the whip, and off we go, the trees and houses smaller grow. Last, round the woody turn we swing, goodbye, goodbye to everything. Northwest Passage by Robert Louis Stevenson. Good night. When the bright lamp is carried in, the sunless hours again begin. O'er all without, in field and lane, the haunted night returns again. Now we behold the embers flee about the firelit hearth, and see our faces painted as we pass like pictures on the window glass. Must we to bed indeed? Well then, let us arise and go like men, and face with an undaunted tread the long black passage up to bed. Farewell, O brother, sister, sire, O pleasant party round the fire, the songs you sing, the tales you tell, till far tomorrow fare ye well. Shadow March. All round the house is the jet-black night. It stares through the window pane. It crawls in the corners, hiding from the light, and it moves with the moving flame. Now my little heart goes a-beating like a drum, with the breath of a boogie in my hair. And all round the candle the crooked shadows come and go marching along up the stair. The shadow of the balusters, the shadow of the lamp, the shadow of the child that goes to bed, all the wicked shadows coming tramp, 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 with the black night overhead. In port. Last to the chamber where I lie, my fearful footsteps patter nigh, and come from out the cold and gloom into my warm and cheerful room. There, safe arrived, we turn about to keep the coming shadows out, and close the happy door at last on all the perils that we pass. Then, when mamma goes by to bed, she shall come in with tiptoe tread, and see me lying warm and fast, and in the land of Nod at last. The Unseen Playmate by Robert Louis Stevenson. When children are playing alone on the green, in comes the playmate that never was seen. When children are happy and lonely and good, the friend of the children comes out of the wood. Nobody heard him and nobody saw. His is a picture you never could draw, but he's sure to be present abroad or at home when children are happy and playing alone. He lies in the laurels, he runs on the grass, he sings when you tinkle the musical glass. Ne'er you are happy and cannot tell why, the friend of the children is sure to be by. He loves to be little, he hates to be big. 'Tis he that inhabits the caves that you dig. 'Tis he, when you play with your soldiers of tin, that sides with the Frenchmen and never can win. 'Tis he, when at night you go off to your bed, bids you go to your sleep and not trouble your head. For wherever they're lying in cupboard or shelf, 'tis he will take care of your playthings himself. My Ship and I by Robert Louis Stevenson. Oh, it's I that am the captain of a tidy little ship, of a ship that goes a-sailing on the pond, and my ship keeps a-turning all around and all about. But when I'm a little older, I shall find the secret out, how to send a vessel sailing on beyond. For I mean to grow as little as the dolly at the helm, and the dolly I intend to come alive. And with him besides to help me, it's a-sailing I shall go. It's a-sailing on the water when the jolly breezes blow, and the vessel goes divvy-divvy-dive. Oh, it's then you'll see me sailing through the rushes and the reeds, and you'll hear the water singing on the prow. For beside the dolly sailor, I'm to voyage and explore, to land upon the island where no dolly was before, and to fire the penny cannon in the bow. My Kingdom by Robert Louis Stevenson. Down by a shining water, well, I found a very little dead, no higher than my head. The heather and the gorse about and summer bloom were coming out, some yellow and some red. I called the little pool a sea. The little hills were big to me, for I am very small. I made a boat, I made a town, I searched the caverns up and down, and named them one and all. and all about was mine. I said, the little sparrows overhead, the little minnows too. This was the world that I was king. For me the bees came by to sing, for me the swallows flew. I played there were no deeper seas, nor any wider plains than these, nor other kings than me. At last I heard my mother call out from the house at evenfall to call me home to tea. And I must rise and leave my dell, and leave my dimpled water well, and leave my heather blooms. Alas, and as my home I neared, how very big my nurse appeared, how great and cool the rooms. Picture Books in Winter by Robert Louis Stevenson. Summer fading, winter comes, frosty mornings, tingling thumbs. Window robins, winter rooks, and the picture storybooks. Water now is turned to stone, nurse and I can walk upon. Still we find the flowing brooks in the picture storybooks. All the pretty things put by wait upon the children's eye, sheep and shepherds, trees and crooks in the picture storybooks. We may see how all things are, seas and cities near and far, and the flying fairies looks in the picture storybooks. How am I to sing your praise, happy chimney corner days, sitting safe for nursery nooks, reading picture storybooks? My Treasures by Robert Louis Stevenson. These nuts that I keep in the back of the nest, where all my lead soldiers are lying at rest, were gathered in autumn my nursing and me in a wood with a well by the side of the sea. This whistle we made, and how clearly it sounds, by the side of a field at the end of the grounds. Of a branch of a plane, with a knife of my own, it was Nursey who made it, and Nursey alone. The stone with the white and the yellow and grey, we discovered I cannot tell how far away, and I carried it back, although very and cold, for though father denies it, I am sure it is gold. But of all of my treasures, the last is the king, for there's very few children possess such a thing, and that is a chisel, both handle and blade, which a man who was really a carpenter made. Block City by Robert Louis Stevenson. What are you able to build with your blocks? Castles and palaces, temples and docks. Rain may keep raining and the others go down, but I can be happy and building at home. Let the sofa be mountains, the carpet be sea, there I'll establish a city for me, a kirk and a mill and a palace beside, and a harbour as well where my vessels may ride. Great is the palace with pillar and wall, a sort of a tower on the top of it all, and steps coming down in an orderly way to where my toy vessels lie safe in the bay. This one is sailing and that one is moored, hark to the song of the sailors on board, and see on the steps of my palace the kings coming and going with presents and things. Now I have done with it, down let it go, all in a moment the town is laid low. Block upon block lying scattered and free, what is there left of my town by the sea? Yet as I saw it I see it again, the kirk and the palace, the ships and the men, and as long as I live and where'er I be, I'll always remember my town by the sea. The Land of Storybooks by Robert Louis Stevenson. At evening when the lamp is lit, around the fire my parents sit. They sit at home and talk and sing, and do not play at anything. Now with my little gun I crawl all the dark along the wall, and follow round the forest track, away behind the sofa bag. There in the night, when none can spy, all in my hunter's camp I lie, and play at books that I have read, till it is time to go to bed. These are the hills, these are the woods, these are my starry solitudes, and there the river by whose brink the roaring lions come to drink. I see the others far away, as if in firelit camp they lay, and I, like to an Indian scout, around their party prowled about. So when my nurse comes in for me, home I return across the sea, and go to bed with backward looks at my dear land of storybooks. Armies and the Fire by Robert Louis Stevenson. The lamps now glitter down the street, faintly sound the falling feet, and the blue even slowly falls about the garden trees and walls. Now in the falling of the gloom the red fire paints the empty room, and warmly on the roof it looks, and flickers on the backs of books. Armies march by tower and spire, of cities blazing in the fire, till as I gaze with staring eyes, the armies fade, the lustre dies. Then once again the glory returns, again the phantom city burns, and down the red-hot valley, lo, the phantom armies marching go. Blinking embers, tell me true, where are those armies marching to, and what the burning city is that crumbles in your furnaces? The Little Land by Robert Louis Stevenson. When at home alone I sit, and am very tired of it, I have just to shut my eyes to go sailing through the skies, to go sailing far away to the pleasant land of play, to the fairy land afar, where the little people are, where the clover tops are trees, and the rain pools are the seas, and the leaves like little ships sail about on tiny trips. And above the daisy tree, through the grasses, high overhead the bumblebee hums and passes. In the forest to and fro I can wander, I can go, see the spider and the fly, and the ants go marching by, carrying parcels with their feet down the green and grassy street. I can in the soil sit with the ladybird alit. I can climb the jointed grass, and on high see the greater swallows pass in the sky. And the round sun rolling by, heeding no such things as I. Through that forest I can pass till, as in a looking-glass, humming flying daisy tree, and my tiny self I see, painted very clear and neat on the rain pool at my feet. Should a leaflet come to land, drifting near to where I stand, straight I'll board the tiny boat round the rain pool, sea to front. Little thoughtful creatures sit on the grassy coasts of it, little things with lovely eyes see me sailing with surprise. Some are clad in armor green, these have sure to battle been. Some are pied with every hue, black and crimson, gold and blue. Some have wings and swift are gone, but they all look kindly gone. Then my eyes I once again open, and see all things plain. High bare walls, great bare floor, great big knobs and drawer door, great big people perched on stairs, stitching tucks and mending tears, each a hill that I could climb, and talking nonsense all the time. Oh dear me, where I could be, a sailor on the rainpool sea, a climber in the clover tree, and just come back a sleepyhead late at night to go to bed. Night and Day by Robert Louis Stevenson. When the golden day is done, through the closing portal, child and garden, flower and sun, vanish all things mortal. As the blinding shadows fall, as the rays diminish, under evening's cloak they all roll away and vanish. Garden darkened, daisy shut, child in bed, they slumber. Glow-warm in the highway rut, mice among the lumber. In the darkness houses shine, parents move with candles, till on all the night divine turns the bedroom handles. Till at last the day begins in the east breaking in the hedges, and the winds sleeping birds awake. In the darkness shapes of things, houses, trees and hedges, clearer grow, and sparrows' wings beat on window ledges. These shall wake the yawning maid, she the door shall open, finding dew on garden glade and the morning broken. Where my garden grows again, green and rosy painted, as at eve behind the pane, from my eyes it fainted. Just as it was shut away, toy-like in the even, here I sit, it glow with day under glowing heaven. Every path and every plot, every bush of roses, every blue forget-me-not, where the dew reposes. Up they cry, the day is come, on the smiling valleys, we have beat the morning drum, playmate, join your allies. Nest Eggs by Robert Louis Stevenson. Birds all the sunny day flutter and crawl, here in the arbor-like tent of a laurel. Here in the fork the brown nest is seated, 4 little blue eggs the mother keeps heated. While we stand watching her, starting like gabbies, safe in each egg are the birds' little babies. Soon the frail eggs they shall chip, and upspringing make all the April woods merry with singing. Younger than we are, or children and frailer, soon in blue air they will be, singer and sailor. We, so much older, taller and stronger, we shall look down on the birdies no longer. They shall go flying with musical speeches, high overhead in the tops of the beeches. In spite of all wisdom and sensible talking, we on our feet must go, plodding and walking. The Flowers by Robert Louis Stevenson. All the names I know from nurse. Gardener's garters, shepherd's purse, bachelor's buttons, lady's smock, and the lady hollyhock. Fairy places, fairy things, fairy woods, where the wild bee sings. Tiny trees for tiny dames, these must all be fairy names. Tiny woods, below whose boughs shady fairies weave a house. Tiny treetops, rows of vine, where the braver fairies climb. Fair are grown-up people's trees, but the fairest woods are these, where if I were not so tall I should live for good and all. Summer Sun by Robert Louis Stevenson. Great is the sun, and wide he goes through empty heaven without repose. And in the blue and glowing days, more thick than rain, he showers his rays. Though closer still the blinds we pull to keep the shady parlour cool, yet he will find a chink or two to slip his golden fingers through. The dusty attic, spider-clad, he through the keyhole maketh glad, and through the broken edge of tiles into the laddered hayloft smiles. Meantime his golden face around he bears to all the garden ground, and sheds a warm and glittering look among the ivy's inmost nook. Above the hills, along the blue, round the bright air with footing true, to please the child to paint the rose, the gardener of the world he goes. The Dumb Soldier by Robert Louis Stevenson. When the grass was closely mown, walking on the lawn alone, in the turf a hole I found and hid a soldier underground. Spring and daisies came apace, grasses hide my hiding place, grasses run like a green sea over lawn up to my knee. Under grass alone he lies, looking up with leaden eyes, scarlet coat and pointed gun to the stars and to the sun. When the grass is ripe like grain, when the skiff is stoned again, when the lawn is shaven clear, then my howl shall reappear. I shall find him, never fear, I shall find my grenadier, but for all that's gone and come, I shall find my soldier dumb. He has lived, a little thing, in the grassy woods of spring, done, if he could tell me true, just as I should like to do. He has seen the starry hours and the springing of the flowers, and the fairy things that pass in the forests of the grass. In the silence he has heard talking bee and ladybird, and the butterfly has flown o'er him as he lay alone. Not a word will he disclose, not a word of all he knows. I must lay him on the shelf and make up the tale myself. Autumn Fries by Robert Louis Stevenson. In the other gardens, and all up the vale, from the autumn bonfires see the smoke trail. Pleasant summer over, and all the summer flowers, the red fire blazes, the grey smoke towers. Sing a song of seasons, something bright and all, flowers in the summer, fires in the fall. The Gardener by Robert Louis Stevenson. The gardener does not love to talk, he makes me keep the gravel walk, and when he puts his tools away, he locks the door and takes the key. Away behind the cow and the row, where no one else but cook may go, far in the plots I see him dig, old and serious, brown and big. He digs the flowers, green, rare and blue, no wishes to be spoken to. He digs the flowers and cuts the hay, and never seems to want to play. Steady gardener, summer goes and winter comes with pinching toes. Then in the garden bare and brown you must lay your barrow down. Well no, and while the summer stays to profit by these garden days, oh how much wiser you would be to play at Indian wars with me. Historical Associations by Robert Louis Stevenson. Dear Uncle Jim, this garden ground, that now you smoke your pipe around, has seen immortal actions done and valiant battles lost and won. Here we had best on tiptoe tread, while I for safety march ahead, for this is that enchanted ground where all who loiter slumber sound. Here is the sea, here is the sand, here is simple shepherd's land. Here are the fairy hollyhocks, and there are Alibaba's rocks. But yonder sea, apart and high, frozen Siberia lies, where I, with Robert Bruce and William Tell, was bound by an enchanter's spell. There, then, awhile in chains we lay, in wintry dungeons far from day. But risen at length with might and main, our iron fetters burst in twain. when all the horns were blown in tone, and to the ramparts clanging down, all the giants leaped to horse and charged behind us through the gorse. On we rode, the others and I, over the mountains blue, and by the silver river, the sounding sea, and the rubber woods of Tartary. 1,000 miles we galloped fast, and down the witches' lane we passed, and rode amain with brandished sword up to the middle through the ford. Last we drew rein, very free, upon the lawn in time for tea, and from our steeds alighted down before the gates of Babylon. To Willie and Henrietta by Robert Louis Stevenson. If two may read or write these rhymes of our delight and house and garden play, you two, my cousins, and you only may. You in a garden green with me were king and queen, were hunter, soldier, tar, and all the 1,000 things that children are. Now in the elder seat we rest with quiet feet, and from the window bay we watch the children, our successors, play. Time wars, the golden-haired, irrevocable said, but time which none can bind, while flowing fast away, leaves love behind. To My Mother by Robert Louis Stevenson. You, too, my mother, read my rhymes, for love of unforgotten times, and you may chance to hear once more the little feet along the floor. To Auntie by Robert Louis Stevenson. Chief of our aunts, not only I, but all your dozen of nurslings cry, what did the other children do, and what were childhood wanting you? To Minnie by Robert Louis Stevenson. The red room with the giant bed, where none but elders laid their head, the little room where you and I did for a while together lie, and, simple suitor, I your hand in decent marriage did demand. The great day nursery, best of all, with pictures pasted on the wall, and leaves upon the blind, a pleasant room wherein to wake, and hear the leafy garden shake, and rustle in the wind, and pleasant there to lie in bed and see the pictures overhead. The wars about Sebastopol, the grinding guns along the wall, the daring escalade, the plunging ships, the bleating sheep, the happy children, ankle deep, and laughing as they wade. All these are vanished clean away, and the old man's is changed today. It wears an altered face and shields a stranger race. The river, on from mill to mill, flows past our childhood's garden still. Ah, we children nevermore shall watch it from the water door. Below the yew, it still is there, our phantom voices haunt the air, as we were still at play, and I can hear them call and say, how far is it to Babylon? Ah, far enough, my dear, far, far enough from here, yet you have farther gone. Can I get there by candlelight? So goes the old refrain. I do not know, perchance you might, but only children hear it right, never to return again. The eternal dawn beyond the doubt shall break on hill and plain, and put all stars and candles out, ere we be young again. To you in distant India, these I send across the seas, nor counted far across, for which of us forgets the Indian cabinets, the bounds of antelope, the wings of albatross, the pied and painted birds and beans, the trunks and bangles, beads and screens, the gods and scarab bells, and the loud humming twisted shells. The level of a parlour floor was honest, homely Scottish shore. But when we climbed upon a chair, behold, the gorgeous east was there. We wish a fable, and behold, me in the parlour as of old. And Minnie just above me sat in the quiet Indian cabinet, smiling and kind. You grace a shelf too high for me to reach myself. Reach down a hand, my dear, and take these rhymes for old acquaintance' sake. To My Named Child by Robert Louis Stevenson. 1. Some day soon this rhyming volume, if you learn with proper speed, little Louis Sanchez will be given you to read. Then shall you discover that your name was printed down by the English printers long before in London town. In the great and busy city where the East and West are met, all the little letters did the English printer set. While you thought of nothing and were still too young to play, foreign people thought of you in places far away. Aye, and while you slept, a baby, over all the English lands, our little children took the volume in their hands. Our children questioned in their homes across the seas, who was little Louis? Won't you tell us, mother, please? 2. Now that you have spelled your lesson, lay it down and go and play, seeking shells and seaweed on the sands of Monterey, watching all the mighty whalebones lying buried by the breeze, tiny sandy pipers and the huge Pacific seas. And remember, in your playing, as the sea fog rolls to you, long ere you could read it, how I told you what to do, and that while you thought of no one, nearly half the world away, someone thought of Lewis of the beach of Monterey. To Any Reader by Robert Louis Stevenson. As from the house your mother sees you playing around the garden trees, so you may see, if you will look, through the windows of this book, another child far, far away, and in another garden play. But do not think you can at all, by knocking on the window, call that child to hear you. He intent is all on his play business bent. He does not hear, he will not look, nor yet hear learned out of his book. For long ago, with truth to say, he has grown up and gone away, and it is but a child of air that lingers in the garden there.